100 years ago, the marketing face of the company was the traveling salesman. He knocked on doors and canvassed for information. It was a hard task. It took him time to understand who his market was. Then brand names were introduced, and soon the traveling salesman found it easier to sell. They even had slogans. In 1911, the Chartered Institute of Marketing was established, but it wasn't called that back then. It was called the Sales Managers Association. Then in 1922, the first radio commercial was aired for a new apartment block in Queens, New York. Newspapers, though, were the most used media for advertising. World War II came. Advertising started to take off. In the 1950s and 60s, consumer brands were everywhere. This was the era of the Mad Men, and advertising guys were suddenly in demand. Throughout the 70s and 80s, advertising budgets rocketed. The ad man was king. Television was the drug of the nation. But in the 90s, it started to change. The web exploded and the world began to change. Email first, then websites. Who knew in 1990 how much the internet would change our lives and our jobs? Now we don't watch TV adverts, we flick forward or watch on demand. We don't read newspapers, we get our news from mobile phones. Telephone bills, yellow pages, advertising agencies, and retail shopping chains are the new dodos, almost becoming obsolete. Marketing has changed. Gone are the big advertising budgets. It's now all about creating content. Emails, web, video, blogs. But not everything has changed. Remember the traveling salesman canvassing, finding out who the customer was? Nothing's changed in the last 100 years on that front. We still need to research and prospect, and the content still has to speak to the market. After all, the market only buys what it wants. Oh, and if you didn't realize, you actually just watch some content. That's the joy about content marketing. So, now that we have your attention,